So before we start, at the end, when I say like thanks for doing this, we'll do like the on-air goodbye thing, and then hang around for like a minute, minute and a half after because the platform. But you grew up Victorville, desert outside of LA. How does Face to Face come together?
Well, when I was a kid, I knew pretty early I wanted to play music, and I gravitated toward music, before I was even a teenager. Um, Not really knowing much about what I was doing, and I got on the keyboard first. And I grew up in a very musical house. My dad is a musician and always played music my whole life. So and then I have music on my mom's side of the family too. So I just kind of grew up in that environment, and it was something I was attracted to pretty young. Anyhow, just find Victorville's a really small town,
I drove through it
or
once.
it was, at least back then.
Yeah.
We moved there in the mid 70s. I think it was 75 or 76. So it was really nothing out there.
If I
And
remember correctly from the time I drove through it, it's like a desert.
absolutely, yeah, it's the high desert. And
Yeah.
so like Palm Springs and Yucca Valley and that whole area is the low desert, and Sperry and Victorville are the high desert. So we got snow, but they didn't
Oh,
down there. The elevation's pretty different from one desert to the other. But anyhow, Victorville is basically a place to fuel up and take a leak on your way to Vegas,
right.
coming from Los Angeles. So there wasn't much out there. And just through the circle of friends I grew up with in school, whatever, anyone who I would meet at school who played guitar or did anything, drums or bass or whatever, I would try to get them to jam with me. And over time, I formed a band, and we did all kinds of silly stuff. It was the early '80s, and so we had a cover band that played like everything from Van Halen to Duran Duran
Yeah.
early
What
on.
What were you
But
into growing up? What influences did your parents give you?
well, my dad, he played a lot of like classic, like 50s and 60s rock and roll, like oldies.
Hmm.
And then when we moved to the high desert, he started playing country music because that's what was popular out there. And so I think I absorbed a lot of that through the music he was doing that was popular in the area, in the late 70s and early 80s. Um, so a lot of that kind of stuck with me. Of course, as a rebellious kid, I didn't like the music my parents were into, so I wanted to play rock music. And I liked heavier music and like Iron Maiden and stuff like that. And then kind of gravitated more towards punk rock and bands like Bad Religion and Social Distortion and that type of thing. And then we, by the time we figured out what we wanted to do, me and my friends, we made Face to Face, which was kind of like an homage to bands like The Descendants and Social Distortion, Bad Religion, in that vein,
Hmm.
but more like pop punk. And I would draw a thread to it because the music it's basically just pop songwriting, but with a little bit of attitude, right? So we weren't like a hardcore band or anything. We were basically just playing pop songs, and that's a lot of it was inspired by what my earlier exposure to music was, which was classic rock and roll, country, and that type of thing. A lot of the same chord progressions and melodies and ideas. So, not that I was playing country then, because I absolutely wasn't, but it's a very American style of rock and roll. We weren't, or punk rock. We weren't like a British sounding punk band or anything.
No, it's
So, and
well, Southern California at the time also had, I guess it would be the second wave of punk coming up. After the original late '70s.
yeah,
And it's the same thing. I grew up in DC, so we had the original Minor Threat, Iron Cross wave of that punk, and then it took into more pop punk and then post punk. Um,
right.
but LA had its own scene going on at the time, but you were like an hour, hour and a half outside of LA.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I guess we're probably third wave face to face, anyhow.
Yeah.
Um, so, that's a very DIY kind of thing, jump in a van, go play shows wherever you can, meet people, try to get someone that has a label to record your record and put it out. And we did all that. And
Were you driving like into LA to play shows?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
figured
worked
you'd have to.
when I was in my early 20s and the band formed. I was doing construction at the time. So I'd work an 8 or 10 hour day doing construction and then get in the car and drive to Orange County or Inland Empire or LA and then play a show and then get back at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, get up at 6 or 7 and go do my construction job all over again. So it was a grind, but
Yeah, I bet you're happy that shit's over now.
yeah, well, I mean, that feels like another life, man. I'm going to be 57 years old this year. So
Yeah.
that was a long time ago, but to me, it was worth it because I was passionate about playing music and doing that whole thing, and not so much about construction. It was just a way to pay the bills. So, um, yeah, did that for a long time. But I guess growing up in Victorville in the high desert, everybody thinks of California as like surfing and skating and all that cool stuff. But
Most of it is not. I lived in
it was,
California.
yeah, it was real different for us. Like I said, the popular music out there was country for adults like my parents. So my dad at the time was playing a lot of that music, and he actually played. There's a Roy Rogers Museum in Victorville, the Royal Rogers Dale Evans Museum,
Yeah, I saw that sign
and
driving to Vegas.
so my
Uh,
dad played. My dad played with Roy Rogers' son, Dusty Rogers, in his band for a long time. And
okay.
before we moved out, we I was born in the valley, San Fernando Valley in Encino. So my parents grew up in that area, and my dad actually played with Freddie Fender too in the
Oh,
'70s,
that's dude.
back
I
in
love
LA
Freddie
too.
Fender, man. That guy's great.
Yeah. So I guess there's been a thread connection for me in country music, and I guess after having done punk rock for 3+ decades, um, I still, I love Face to Face, and I'm proud of my career and everything that and all the time I put into it. But as an artist, I was just looking to explore other parts of my musical influence, and this record came about as because actually Face to Face did as part of a VIP thing. We were doing acoustic shows for people before
Mhm.
our regular show, and one thing kind of led to another. It's like, well, I'm playing these songs acoustic, that's kind of cool. What if I did this little pull off or added this thing? And then you start thinking, well, maybe that VIP thing led to us making an album of our songs acoustic, and then a short tour. And it kind of led me on this path of like, well, do I just want to play punk rock songs acoustic? That's kind of limiting. And so I started reaching back into my roots and thinking, I've lived in Nashville for about 16 years now.
Oh, I didn't
And
realize you were down there.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And when I first came here, I was really just looking for a change of scenery, a change of pace, getting out of California and trying something new. And this was pre the big blow up down here in Nashville where,
Hmm.
everyone moved here and it got crazy. It was still pretty mellow when we got here in 2010.
I mean, I
And
always feel like Nashville and LA are they're two of my favorite cities. I'm not shitting on them. Like legitimately, I love both those cities. But I
yeah.
feel like there's a lot. They're both industry towns, where
Mm,
everyone that you meet is in LA they're in film, music, TV shows, and in Nashville they're in music or they do songwriting or production or
yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it's an odd thing for a city to be so overrun with one industry, and then people that support it with the bars. All the bar workers are still in the industry, uh,
Right. Right.
but I do like Nashville. I'm kind of surprised that it took you that long to get the country music living there for that long.
Well, because I sort of resisted
Okay,
it, to
why?
to be honest, because uh, coming from like a punk rock background, I I'm hyper, especially the era of punk rock we came up through. We came up through the '90s, which was the Kill Rock Stars era
Right.
the very stripped down, like you doing it for the music and for the love and for the connection with people, and trying to really strip it down to like its purest form.
Doesn't
So
that directly describe country music though?
it does, and that's the line I was able to draw
Yeah.
after being out here. Now that's not true for all country music. I mean, there,
No.
like you mentioned, there's a big glossy industry with tons of money side of that's the country most people
The whole
see. But
big machine stuff.
yeah, and that's all fine and good. It's not really the thing that attracts me to country music.
It's
Again,
not
I
that good though. We don't have
when
to.
when I found no, I mean it's fine for the people who love it. I'm not going to disparage it, but it's not anything I find much of a connection with. And so when I was really like trying to figure out if I'm going to do a record like this and I want to write songs, more songs in this style, I needed to find like my heart and soul. And going back to the stuff I remember growing up with as a little kid, like in the early '70s, there was a lot of country music on the radio and on television. That was the era of like variety shows with Johnny Cash, and
Yeah.
it seems like tons of artists
His
had
variety
those.
show was incredible. But if you ever
Yeah.
look up those clips on YouTube again, it's like they have
Uh,
Dennis
oh,
Hopper coming out and doing monologues for no
oh,
reason.
it's they're insane. I mean, that was such a cool era of that. So I mean, that was kind of like back there in my memory, and so I started buying up classic country records based on stuff I remembered. But then there was this whole discovery I went on too of all these guys I missed out on, and
Like
not
who? I'm curious who
well
you
like
missed out on.
Connie Smith, for example. I
Mhm.
really I never realized how amazing she was. And her debut record is like one of my favorite records of all time. Her voice is just so pure and amazing. She's got such a great tone in her natural voice. I love the production. I love the way the reverb sounds on that vocal. It's just such a perfect marriage. And the steel guitar playing, and I don't know the name of the guy who played steel on that first record, but man, it is so good. It's just like the best steel guitar playing I ever heard. And the songs are great too. There's something about that era. There's nothing innocent about it at all. All most of the material is about drinking too much, fighting, cheating on your spouse. It's all.
Abortion pills.
I mean, yeah, it's all bad behavior celebration. But you know, here we are, 5, 6 decades away from it. 6 decades, and it because none of it feels real anymore because it's like from a forgotten time. There's
Yeah.
there's this there's this disconnection that makes it feel almost like you're watching a movie or you're participating like from a distance in a way.
It's like
So
looking at
I
a picture of your grandparents when they were young and being like,
yeah,
fucking weird. You
but
know?
I love the nostalgia, and I realize that for people that lived during this era who were in their 20s and 30s, they were going through real heartache and stuff. But now it feels a bit kitschy, and in a way I like the idea of preserving the vibe and
Right.
the spirit and everything. But we can look at it now in a way of saying, well, there was a lot of bad behavior going on here. We don't celebrate it. It wasn't good, but we're not really. It's not real. It doesn't feel real anymore because it's
Well,
you know.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the old country stuff, you'd have a good song or a hit if you came up with one line in the chorus that everything built to that was clever, you know? Like
Hmm.
the Gary Stewart, she's acting single, I'm drinking double. The second he wrote that, he was like, I got the rest of this shit.
Yeah.
I can get back to that over and over.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a lot
Exactly.
of those old things is they say that point, you're like, oh, that's what it's a pun. The whole song's a pun, you know?
Right. Right.
Uh, and like it is kitschy in a way that is also like significantly more genuine and honest, I think, than you know that like mashup that that dude did of every time someone says ice cold beer in a country song.
I
You
haven't
know,
heard it. No, I haven't heard that
look
one.
it
I got
up.
to check it out.
It's just
Okay.
over and over and over different people going like ice cold beer. uh, but it's more genuine to me than that because it's you know those are catchphrases or taglines, but these are like you at least had to be fucking clever about it. You know,
Yeah.
like it's the same
Yeah.
topic, but you're cleverly getting to the topic.
Exactly. Yeah. That I love that. I love that. So it's been a challenge to me to uh try to capture what you're talking about there, and shift my songwriting a little bit so that I could embody the spirit of that type of songwriting, coming up with that good line, or coming up with like a good turn of phrase. Like, I liked when I came up with Heartbreak Grin, for
Yeah,
one of the songs on my record. And like you said, it's a central thing you can come back to. And
but if you don't have that in a country song like that, I don't think you're gonna have a song. You know.
no, no, you got to have something cool like that. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to try to meet the challenge of, you know, writing in this way and all that. So getting back to what I started, because I've really veered off the path.
Oh, I do it all the
Um,
time. It's fine.
it's going to be weird for me. It's inauthentic, I guess, to talk about authenticity, but for whatever it's worth, it was really important to me to make a country record that if you'd never heard of me before, most people haven't, you could put it on and go, okay, yeah, I get what this is. I understand this. This is a country record. I know what country is. I didn't want someone to put it on and go, why am I listening to this guy trying to do a country record and it doesn't sound
Right.
like one? You know what I mean? Um, so the reason I didn't immediately go into it when I got to Nashville is because I didn't ever feel right till I lived here for a while, till I got to meet people from the South, traveled through the South, hung out in some of these places, experienced culture, food, and steeped myself in it. And we moved away. We moved to back west, not all the way to California, but to Las Vegas for about 5 years, and decided that we wanted to come back here to Middle Tennessee, and that's just that feels like home now, after
Yeah.
being here for so long.
Well, Vegas
And
is a weird place too, man.
well, yeah, yeah, it is definitely. I know most people don't think of it as a place to live, although there are nice, you know, neighborhoods and areas to live if you can get far enough off the strip where it
I
gets
haven't
more
found one
normal.
yet.
It gets a little bit more normal.
I don't know. Me and my dad were out in Vegas 2 summers ago. It didn't help that it was 130 degrees. Legitimately, that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But we drove around just trying to figure out what was going on. You know, like what part of this town is like because most towns have a setup. You're like, oh, this is the nice part. This is the less nice part. This is the industrial part. We're driving around Vegas, going like, I don't know where anything is. I don't know what part of town we're in. If it's just the strip or not the strip. You know, it's a weird
Yeah.
place. I can't figure it out. Do you know who Jeremy Pinnell is?
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
I'm wearing a hat for him right now. But he's another guy. You said like three things that reminded me of his music. He has a song called "That's the Way Country Sounds." You know, I recommend checking that out
Okay, cool.
because the answer in his lyrics is not lyrics; it's the sound of the band behind him, and it's an interesting way to kind of work in that whole like mixture between the music and the words of like all this together makes a country song.
Okay,
You know,
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
he's a cool guy, but I imagine that writing for pop punk and country takes two different parts of your brain and personality.
I guess so. When I write, I try not to use too much of my actual brain. I try to write more from, another. I try not to intellectualize it, I guess, is a better way of putting it. Because if I don't feel some kind of inspiration, then the writing isn't going to be very good. It's going to come out clinical and
Yeah.
uninspired. So um, you kind of, for me at least, I got to be kind of in a zone to. A lot of people talk about creativity as not being something that really comes out of a person, but more of like something that you tap into.
Right, like it's given
Um,
to you at a time.
yeah, yeah, and I find that to be true with me too. Because if I just try to go, I'm going to sit down and write a song right now, they don't
Right.
usually they don't usually come out very good, but to my standard anyway.
When do they
Um,
come? Is there any through line?
it's been different throughout my life, but one thing you can do that's or something that's worked for me at least is I can't necessarily sit down and grab a guitar or a pen to paper and go, I'm going to intentionally write a
Right.
song. But if I sit down with a guitar and allow myself some time to clear my mind and maybe give myself a half hour or an hour to just kind of get myself in a headspace where I'm open, um, that can help foster some inspiration sometimes, so it's about trying to, for me, I got to quiet my mind down a little bit and try to put myself in a place where I can be open to the creativity. And it's not something that it comes naturally for me. I have to like make an effort to do that. So it happens that way sometimes. Sometimes I could be at the car wash or whatever, and
Right.
a song will pop into my head. I mentioned the song "Heartbreak Grin" a minute ago. I actually had a dream about that. I don't know if I had a dream, but I woke up in the morning and that song was in my brain I don't know where it came from, and I was just singing the melody, and it wasn't the lyric, but I was singing that melody when I woke up. So that happens sometimes too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a one of my favorite songwriters is Robert Hunter from Grateful Dead fame.
Hmm.
And there's, if you're into the Dead, there's the infamous, it's almost a holiday now, um, where he wrote, I can't remember the three exact songs he wrote on that day. It was like They Love Each Other and two other like big Dead songs that are just, it become this holiday of like Robert Hunter tapped into something on that day and pulled these three out, and he hadn't written in like a year previously. He just
Yeah.
couldn't bring himself to. And something happened where, and I don't know if you're a Deadhead, but if you are, this will make sense. Where the music showed up for him at that time, because he
Hmm.
was like a conduit for a lot of American ideas and American mythology in his music. Um, but it's just fascinating to me that you have a year of nothing, and you're
Yeah.
killing yourself over it. And then one afternoon, you're hanging out at your house and you show up the next day and show Jerry Garcia you have three hits, you know? And they're
Yeah, I
all
mean,
good.
I feel like it does happen like that sometimes. The inspiration just can kind of strike out of nowhere.
Well, it feels like it's hard to be a musician and then be like, oh, fuck, I got to put a record out. Like if you're on that cycle.
It can be, and I'm one of those guys. I'm not overly prolific. So and I see some of these other country artists and I'm like, whoa, didn't that guy just have an album out like 6 months ago?
Yeah,
It's
Charlie Crockett puts one
Charlie
out
Crockett, most
every
notably.
month.
Yeah, that
And they're all
he
good too.
yeah, I mean mostly.
Like,
So yeah, there are some cats that just write songs all day long, every day. I could probably be a little more disciplined to get into that space like I'm talking about where I quiet my mind more, but I don't know. I have this weird thing where I feel like if I write a bunch of songs, I want to record them and then I want to go out and play them. And if I'm on tour, I don't really tend to write much because that's a
right.
whole other rhythm that you get into. But if you're lucky enough to be able to write when you're also on tour, you just constantly write all the time. That's great to be that prolific.
Yeah, with these songs that are Departure, did you write them and then start like testing them with audiences and just being like, hey, I'm doing a different thing to see
Yeah, I
how it
did a
would
little
go
bit
over?
because actually when we did first move to Nashville, I had a country song in my head, and I thought, well, I guess I'm in Nashville. I might as well mess with this country song, and it's what ended up becoming uh, Wandering, and in in the original form of it, I don't know where it came from. I just had this song idea that would be for like a female performer, female vocal about a wandering man, and I actually, the first couple of people I met here when I came into town, Jeff Firebaugh, who used to play bass in Hillbilly Casino, they used to play down on Lower Broad all the time. And this was 20 some years ago. But he had a studio and he's like, yeah, man, if you ever want to come record. So he grabbed one of the singers, played a lot down on Lower Broad, and she cut the song and we demoed it up. And I didn't really do much with it, but I had it. So one of my ideas was finally realized, and then what other? So I didn't really play that one out, but I have been doing some solo acoustic performances over the past 3 or 4 years, not many, and I would squeeze in, they'd be mostly face to face songs, but I would put in like some country covers too,
Hmm.
and just to see how those would go over. But it wasn't really until I got the album recorded, and we recorded this record about a year ago now, that it sort of really took shape from them being demos in my head to being a real record. And like you said, that the artist that wrote the song about what a country song is, they once I got players that I worked with in the studio that are local guys here around Nashville, they brought it to life. I
Right.
went in there with my demo and lyrics and then a focus track, and they would listen to the demo and the focus track and go, yeah, okay, cool, we get the vibe, and we just laid it down, and they came out so good. It really helped inform the direction of everything.
I mean, I also feel like a lot of people that we've talked to, um, including myself in some capacity, but musicians like Benjamin Todd and John Moreland, they grew up punk kids, and now
Hmm.
they are not. There's that pipeline of punk, whatever variety, whether it's crust or pop or straight edge. Then all of a sudden you become an adult and you're like, hey, I really like country music. And I wonder if that actually has happened with the face-to-face fans transitioning to being like, no, you know what? Now that I'm 45, I kind
Yeah.
of do like this chiller shit. you know?
Yeah. Definitely some of them. So far with whatever I've released two singles so far, and the album doesn't come out till July, but response to the two singles has been mostly positive from people. So there's been one or two that are like, I love you, but I can't follow you down this path,
Yeah.
which
Well,
I can respect that. There's nothing wrong with that. So I got to assume the maybe the people that don't like it are kind of keeping it to themselves, which is fine, or maybe just not enough people have heard it yet, too.
I mean, there's always the people that it could be the best country song in the world, but they have it stuck in their head that they like everything but country. That's that voice
Yeah.
you always hear. It's like,
Yeah.
what music you like? And you're like, cool. Uh, I don't know. It's country gets a weird rap a lot of the time. I feel like because, like we were talking about earlier, it seems old in a lot of ways. I mean, it is old in a
Hmm.
lot of ways, but it's not just that the songs are old. It seems like it applies to old people, and it's like
Right. Right.
it's lonesome and longing and all these things that when you're a young person, you're like, I don't really want to listen to that. Then you hear it as an adult and you go, there's some points in there. It turns out.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that really is the thing. I mean, much of what I love about country music are the writers and artists that have that depth, that
Yeah.
have that are singing about life experience. And when you're a 20-year-old kid, you can't relate. You haven't had those experiences yet.
Oh,
You
there's a
don't have the
number.
frame of reference.
There's many musicians. One of them, probably the biggest example, is Van Morrison, where my mom would play Van Morrison when I was a kid, and I'd be like, I want to hear Dookie by Green Day again, And now as an adult, I'm like, Van Morrison is the best at this forever, you know? Like
Yeah.
it turns out
Yeah.
Astral Weeks is nuts, and he was younger than me. Oh God, uh, like
Yeah.
you make that switch at some point as you get deeper into your life, where you go, oh, I get what you're doing here. Not just lyric wise, but also sonically, where you're interested in hearing things that aren't just a representation of your own angst growing up.
Right. Right.
Because at that point you're kind of just like, I'm angry and weird and life's kind of odd, uh, and I want to
Yeah.
hear stuff that sounds like that. But then you become an adult and life isn't odd; it's a little sad.
Yeah. Agreed. And I mean, like I said, I was rediscovering some of the music from my childhood, but it led me down this path of discovery, and I have a playlist on my Apple Music that has probably got 200 some songs in it now, but I just started building that playlist slowly but surely over the past 4 or 5 years. And every time I discover new songs or they're not new, they're from the
Yeah.
60s or 70s. But every time I discover someone that's new to me, I'll add that in there, and it's just kind of grown from there. And it's just been really, I've done that a lot throughout my life because, there was an era. I'm old, but there was an era when before the internet, you'd have to like ask your buddies or go into the record store and ask the
Or like
record
a
store
cool older
owner.
brother would tell you.
Yeah, right. Like what should I listen to? Unless you heard something on the radio, maybe you liked. And then for punk rock, that turned into like you would get your fanzine, your
Right.
regional fanzine, look through that. And so there's been all the access hasn't always been there, and even now with immediate access to all this music, in a way, like I feel like most people need it curated, right? Or you're not going to find out
Oh yeah.
about records.
I mean, I
So
I care a lot about what I listen to and put on in our store and everything, and then I go, it's the same goddamn 100 songs over and over. you know?
yeah, yeah. So there's been I guess what I was getting at is there's been a lot of times in my life where I'm like, all right, I missed out on this entire movement of music, and I have to go back and discover it later
Right.
because there's so much going on all the time that you might live through a portion of your life and then go, well, damn, I totally missed out on that whole movement of music. So
Or you just forget
um
about it, like you used to know and like it, and then you hear it again 15 years
and
later and go, I know all the words.
yeah, yeah. So this was one of those things for me, and I just creatively and everything, I'm really having a great time making this kind of music, playing this music and genre, and it's just really, it feels, I don't dislike doing punk rock, but this feels more like comfortable to me
Yeah.
in a way, where sometimes going out and bashing through a set of punk rock songs, which we don't do very often anymore, um, is starting to feel. I can't say that it's not awkward, but it maybe not as comfortable as it used, not as fitting,
Yeah.
because we're our band, we play songs that we wrote 20 some years ago too. That's like the sweet spot for our band, right? So when Face to Face goes out and plays, we're playing music from the 90s mostly and early 2000s anyhow.
Yeah, it's
um
I don't know if you look yourself or your band up ever. Um but I did because we're doing this. Uh
uh-huh
and I ended up on a Reddit thread about people either talking about your band or talking about um like seeing you guys live. And one of the things that I picked up on was that a lot of people have been with you for a long time, which is good. I mean, that's David Crosby
yeah.
thing of the first record doesn't matter; it's the second record that counts because you had your whole life to put the first one out. So like,
Yeah.
you know, so reading all these comments on Reddit threads, people are getting a lot of tattoos of you guys still, which is that's cool.
Yeah.
But B, an interesting thing, is one guy said, I don't remember if it was you or someone else in the band that said it on stage, but someone said something about don't throw a hip out in the pit tonight. you know?
Sounds like some smart ass thing I might say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you get to the point now where like they did a thing on Everybody's Live with John Mulaney where it was an old punk focus group, and Lee Ving is in there, and Lee Ving is 75 years old.
Right.
You're like, what the fuck? Old punks? That's not a thing that's ever existed.
Yeah,
You know,
right. Yeah. Yeah. We're in a weird era of all that right
this is
now.
a new
Hmm.
genre of person, an old angsty man. But at the same time, it's cool, man. A lot of the comments I was seeing, when people were being like, "Yeah, I brought my son to a face-to-face show," and these are recent comments in the past, 5, 10 years, and
Yeah.
like, and now they're into it, and I mean that's the enduring thing of music in general is a lot of the stuff that you listen to is handed down from your parents. You can track a lot of my favorite bands. I like Cream, Marshall Tucker,
Uh huh.
Jethro Tull. These are all bands that my parents listened to, and I'm still like, that is the best shit, man. Uh, and I'm not a musician, but I imagine if I was, I'd be aiming at it. And it's the same thing for this record. You're going, well, damn, that is really good shit that my parents heard.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's it's a weird time where we have so much access to so many things. It's overwhelming, and we're all going backwards.
Right. Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm gonna change topics entirely here.
Okay.
I was told by the PR person that put us in contact that you're learning how to ride motorcycles.
I'm not learning. I know how to ride
Oh,
motorcycles.
she phrased it weird.
Did she?
She said he's a new rider, I think.
Well, I'm new because, well, go ahead and ask your question and then I'll give you my
No,
background.
go into it. That this will dictate my question.
Okay, cool. I guess I'm a late in life rider mainly because, and this is like 7 years ago, but at the beginning of COVID, when it looked like we were all going to be shut down from working, basically living our lives, my son, who was in his mid 20s at the time, was like, all right, Dad, I want us to learn how to ride motorcycles and go get our concealed carry permits. Want to do, he phrased it as like cool man shit,
Yeah,
half joking, you know? So, and I was
I
like,
I
dude,
do
I'm
both those.
50. I was 50 at the time. I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to get on them. I mean, motorcycles are fun, but he's like, no, come on, let's do it. So I went to the class and got my permit and jumped on a motorcycle and we started riding. But it's been nearly a decade. And in that time, me and my son and my old friend Chad, he used to play guitar in Face to Face. He lives in Texas now, and some other buddies. We get together and do at least one annual ride, sometimes two if we're lucky.
Mhm.
And we pick different parts of the country and meet up, and we'll do like a week long ride. Um, at least once a year, and that's been so fun to be able to connect in that way, and 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 just hang out. So it's something that I look forward to every year. Matter of fact, my son and I we just took the bikes down to Muscle Shoals this past weekend,
Oh,
and
that's not that close. That's a good little ride.
no, it's not too far from here. I just moved. I live close here to do you know the Natchez Trace, that closed highway that goes from Nashville all the way to Natchez, Mississippi?
Okay, yeah.
It's like a state park or maybe might be a federal park kind of thing. It's the old trail that Andrew Jackson marched the troops down to for the Battle
Yeah.
of Mississippi and all that. But it's a you can't take any commercial vehicles on it, no semi trucks, nothing like that. And it has very few exits, and it's just this beautiful kind of nature ride. Um, it's about 80 or 90 miles, I guess, down to Muscle Shoals
Oh, is that it?
from here to there. Yeah, not too bad.
Oh,
So that
okay.
was fun. But yeah, I guess I'm a new writer if you compare it to my entire life. But
I don't know.
it's
Don't give her shit about it. I might have read it wrong.
no. That's fine. That's
uh,
fine.
what do you have? I'm always curious. What do you ride?
I have the first bike that I got still, although I'm tempted to get like I have 50 motorcycles if I indulged myself. I have a Triumph T120 Black.
Okay, you
It's
like
like
it?
a vintage. It's like a modern classic bike. I love it. It's great.
Yeah,
It's 1200 cc motorcycle. It's got plenty of power. It's not a big old, you know, garbage barge or anything. But it's just a good all around bike. If you when I take it on these road trips, man, you know, I can probably do about 150 miles a day before my ass is killing me, and I'm sick of getting beat up by the wind and the bugs and everything because you know, it doesn't have like a fairing and all that
yeah,
stuff on it.
yeah.
It's more of just like a your classic bike. But I also have I have a Ural, which is a Russian made motorcycle that they've been making since World War II. They still make them. It's a classic style bike with a sidecar
Oh, and
that
it's still
I
got you kept the sidecar. It's always there.
yeah, I keep the side. It's built. It's made with the sidecar. It's a
Okay.
newer motorcycle. It's a 2012, but it's designed in that kind of kind of World War II style era.
The
And
Hogan's Heroes, Colonel Clinton.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's super fun. When the weather's nice, you don't want to go real far on it, but it's super fun to just go out and putt around on.
Yeah, I've only ever had or ridden Harleys because for some reason that became the thing. I don't know. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
no, they're great. And that matter of fact, that's
They're
on my
fine.
list.
I
I've
like them,
been
but they're okay.
you know, there's a lot of criticism about Harleys, but they've been around for a long time, and there's all different eras and all different types. And if you find the bike that's right for you, then who cares? You
I
know,
mean,
like
it's fascinating. Like I have currently, uh, the base of this bike is a '78 shovel head. I also have like a 2010 Street Bob, and I got
cool.
two Sportsters in the middle right there. You know, there's a '79 Iron Head, and then there's a '94 Sportster, and it's all different.
Yeah,
Like,
you're more of an enthusiast than me. You got four motorcycles.
dude, I had. If we talk about how many I have in boxes, I have like nine. uh, and my
Yeah.
wife has told me no more bikes until you
I'm
gotta pull some of these out and get rid of them. Then you can get more.
I'm interested in a Softail Slim actually. I like that. I guess around 2019, 2020 is what I'm reading online. There's like a good solid motor, you know, that
Yeah.
doesn't break down and is pretty reliable and but has plenty of power, you know.
Yeah, don't
So
get a
I'm
shovel head. Uh, but I mean, also, man, honestly, take a look at the lowrider STs.
yeah,
The
yeah,
new
I've seen
ones.
those too. Yeah.
There's a
Those
bunch of
look cool.
dudes I know who are like, fuck new Harley, pre 2000 or or die, except for the lowrider ST. That if I could get a lowrider ST, I'd go get one of those today. you know,
Yeah,
uh,
those look pretty cool.
I mean,
I
they're the
liked That'll probably be my next bike. I've been wanting to get in a good American made bike. So, you know, it's either Harley or Indian. And I think
I got to
Harley's,
level with you, man. I don't think most Harleys are made here anymore.
well, I know that, but it's just the brand. Triumphs aren't made in England anymore either.
I know it's
They're probably made in Indonesia or wherever, you
Well,
know.
here's the thing that annoys me about that is Harley moved all their manufacturing over to Asia, right? And I was
Mhm.
like, you didn't even put them in the good Asian factories. You didn't even use the Honda people or you just they make good bikes, but you decided to do something totally different, unrelated
Yeah,
from those
yeah,
good motorcycle builds. Uh,
yeah.
I don't know, man. It's
What do you think
interesting.
of the new CEO over at Indian? They're trying to shake it up a little bit with the new Indian models that are coming out.
I mean, so here's the thing I think about a lot of motorcycle brands. And a lot of it goes back to the history of Harley, why I have this opinion, right? So, two people started Harley Davidson, right? Those people sold the company. And then their families sold the company actually to AMF, the bowling alley people in
Yeah, I know
1960.
that era of Harley.
Right. And that's when you have the iron heads and the shovel heads. And like people love shovel heads. I purposely went out and got one, and I have another motor in my garage. They're problems, Like there's gas on the ground, there's oil on the ground. I got to kick it over, and some days I'm like, is the bike fucking broken? Uh,
Mhm.
just because it's not
Yeah.
kicking. Um, and then in the early '80s, Willie G. Davidson, 1981, I believe, bought Harley, and he's the grandson of the original Davidson. You
Yeah,
know?
he put a group together of
Yeah,
people that pooled their money to be able to
right.
buy it back from AMF, and there
And
were
he was the
old
guy,
Harley workers and stuff, right?
right? And it became the Harley that that blew up. It became the Evo Motors. The Willie's at every single Easy Rider event. He's at every rally everywhere.
Yeah,
He's all over the place, and he's the CEO and he's the guy. Harley, recently they got the Puma guy who drove it into the ground pretty quick, and now they have the old Top Golf guy. That's a
mm,
hard sell. The only reason Harley Davidson's became the bike in America is because clubs went, you have to ride a bike that's built here. If you were in a club in England, you had to ride a Triumph because it was built there.
hmm,
That's the rule. So when you're, it's odd to me when you go out and get a CEO and that CEO does not come from any form of background of the company that you're running when it's a company like a motorcycle company because the feelings are so deep in that
yeah,
world. If you're running Top Golf, who gives a shit? You're running Top Golf. But when you jump over to an old school American brand
yeah,
that already has loyalty, that already has a built-in generations of customers that aren't going to go anywhere if you just don't fuck it up. Why are you going in there and fucking it up? With that being said, some of the pictures of new Indian bikes look pretty sick. They're kind of going back to, from what I've seen.
the big skirted fenders,
Yeah, they
they
look.
go like way, yeah,
They're going back to like a much more late 40s, 50s look,
hmm,
um, which Harley's constantly trying to design a new sport bike to compete with all the sport bikes, and that's insane because it's never going to. It's a
yeah,
totally different world. Uh, so I mean, I'm interested to see if Indian. Like, I think the market's open. You know, not entirely, but there's a little bit of that market's open where they could steal people. I'm seeing more Indians on the road right now around here than I
hmm,
have in the past like 5 years. Uh, so I don't know, man. I mean, if they're building good bikes, and if they are going to capitalize on Harley's alienation of their customer base, fuck it. Maybe.
I'm kind of watching at a distance to see how that might shake out, what new products might be announced, or
I mean, if if I move off of Harley, and then if some people that I know move off of Harley, they fucked it. Like, like they're gonna die. That's the end of it.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's gonna be really hard because we're talking at this point over 100 years of history with that company and people being loyal to it.
yeah, and it would take an awful lot to completely destroy it.
It felt like they
It's
were trying to for a minute.
yeah, yeah. I've heard a lot of complaints.
I don't know, man. It's just, and to me, also every Harley dealership varies so much. Where, because they're all like privately or independently owned. You can go to one and it's completely useless. You go to another, and I mean they don't have anything for a shovel head, but like the people there know what they're talking about. So if there's no brand consistency of can I trust this place, that's also very tough.
Right,
Uh,
right.
I just luckily live by one that I don't think sucks. So,
That's good.
and they have fluid. I can go buy O-rings and oil, but I don't know, man.
That's nice to have that.
It's an interesting world of, because it's the same thing of everyone wants to go backwards, like with music, where
Yeah, yeah.
you can go out there and spend $25,000 on a new motorcycle, or spend $25,000 on a bike that was built in 1954, and a lot of people are going to pick that 1954 bike.
Right,
You
right.
know, there's a wave of nostalgia going on, and for people like you remember what people are getting nostalgic about.
Right.
you know,
Because I'm old enough to remember. Yeah.
like I don't. I'm just old enough to remember before the weird switch in the world where everyone had phones and it's super digital and all that. I
Hmm.
remember dial-up internet, but it was still the internet. you know, so it's always odd to me to see the difference between people who look back on it with, you know, rose-colored glasses versus people like you who were alive there and were like, there were good shit, but like it wasn't always great,
The AMF era, not so much.
you know, or just or even like people idolize the '70s. It was like the gas shortages and the massive unemployment.
Yeah, nostalgia tends to paint a pretty rosy picture over
Yeah,
the
dude.
reality of what it really was. But the truth of the matter is, there was good and bad through
It
those eras.
always
So,
is, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's the
I mean,
way.
it's just common sense. But a lot of times we tend to ignore the bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I always see this, you know, like 18 to 23-year-olds being like, I wish I was this age in 1969. I'd be like, oh, like in Vietnam? Like, you know, like,
Yeah, you really want that, huh?
like you wish that's what you were doing, man? I don't know. Think that shit through, bud. uh, but, you know, I don't know. It, it's gonna get weirder. There's the old Terrence McKenna quote about how weird it's about to get, you know, just based on the digital age. And I think
Yeah.
people are oftentimes, like with my company, we don't use AI on shit. We scan a lot of stuff on pictures we print out, and it stands out, you know, because it looks
Hmm.
old. And it's like kind of the old school way of doing it. It's the same thing with a lot of music right now, where like people are going back. Like your record is not, there's not electronic shit on the record. Like there's plugged
No.
in stuff, you know, but that's
Yes.
different. Those are two different
Yeah.
things. Uh, I don't know, man. Maybe that'll be helpful.
I wanted it to sound like, I wanted real musicians on it, and there are no samples or anything. I didn't exclusively stay away from technology. It was recorded to tape originally, but it was edited in Pro Tool or digitally.
But I mean, that's even
Um,
more than a lot of bands do now.
yeah, yeah, and then it was added, then dumped back to tape and mastered off of tape. So there was a process,
But I
but
mean, tape sounds good.
it does. There's really no plug-in or substitution for recording to tape still, especially if you have uh, a room full of musicians recording live to the tape machine at
That's
the
my
same
favorite way to
time.
do it. Like,
And that's how we cut the record. It was bass, drums, my vocal and guitar were scratch, and then guitar going down. But so those three elements at least all went down at the same time.
and if you watch a lot of those people, you know, back in 1965, or even just the old Beatles and Stones documentaries, they're just all in a room playing this shit, you know,
Yeah.
until the Beatles
Yeah.
got real out there uh, and started
Yeah, for
reversing
sure.
everything. But I mean, the London Philharmonic was really in that room, you know, going
I
to
mean, if
tape.
you can, yeah, there's no, once you start isolating everybody and having everyone just cut their part to a previously recorded track, it does start to lose some of its uh,
Like,
vibe or
yeah, like the
charm because,
humanism to it.
yeah, you're not two people trying to match each other's timing and sensibility.
There's no
You're just playing,
improvisation.
you're playing to something static,
Right.
before. There's no like, you're not playing off of each other. There's no randomness or chance for there to be
There's no
something
discovery to
messed
the whole
up.
thing.
Yeah, and I can listen back through the record now and say, oh, that note could have been played a little more on time here. That one's a little off, this and that. But I think the little push and pull and tug and things that's what gives the record those are what the human elements are. For as
Yeah.
much as we want perfection and precision, but it's the mistakes and the coloring between the lines that gives it a human feel.
Well, like, there's my favorite part of the song Roxanne is when Sting clearly misses a note, just screaming Roxanne. You know, like you're like that's not even you didn't get it, you didn't get there at all, but it's my favorite
Yeah.
part of the fucking song, you know. Or like I don't know if you're a David Lynch guy, um, but a lot of his stuff, Inland Empire was entirely this way, where there was no script. They were just figuring it out in the room. You know, like they just
Uh,
went, what do I want? There's a clip of him being like, "I want a 16-year-old Japanese girl with one leg, no, actually Eurasian. I want a Eurasian, and I want some spider monkeys." He's just making the shit up. But then at the discovery of it, you know, that's what brings the art in. Is when you're actually making the thing, there's discoveries along the way that make it better, that each person
Right.
brings into the situation. You
Right.
know,
Right.
and I mean, I imagine that's a very fulfilling part of actually recording the record.
When you do it that way, yeah, and it's not unlike what I was talking about with songwriting, where you're waiting for inspiration, not waiting for inspiration, but you're trying to tap into something for the inspiration. When you're recording with people that are improvising or trying new things, if there's someone in the room, usually the producer, who is open to listening for something that clicks and they go, oh, that's it, that
Yep.
thing you just did right there, because sometimes the player is just trying different stuff, but that inspiration happens when you hear that thing. You're like, oh, that works really great right there, let's key in and use that.
Yeah.
And so we were having to find some of those things, little melodic and rhythmic hooks in the songs that obviously didn't exist because I just recorded a rhythm acoustic guitar and a
Right.
vocal, um, and it really got fleshed out. I got real lucky. I played with some really really great players on this record, and they really brought it to life.
Hey, good studio musicians make make shit. Like the Wrecking Crew. That whole California scene wouldn't have been around without
Yeah,
those 12 people.
yeah.
You know.
Well, and or the Swampers, which that's on my mind after having
Yeah.
just been down to Muscle Shoals.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing too, that if you're into the Grateful Dead, you're willing to forgive 3 hours of them not getting there. Because they're trying. Like, I'll listen to Sirius XM. It'll be 12 o'clock. I'll put on a Dead show. They'll start. I'll be like, this is a bad one, just out of the gate. Like, I can just be like, they didn't get there. But when they do, there's like nothing better. If you're a fan of it. If you're not a
Man,
fan,
so
it's still dog shit.
I wouldn't say I'm not I guess I'm not a fan, only because I'm just not as familiar. It's not really something I've paid much attention to, and like we talked about, things that kind of pass you by when you're focusing on something else and all this other music's happening that maybe you missed. But what is it with you kids and the jam bands?
So I want to clarify. I'm not like
I
a
just
jam. I'm not a jam band guy. Um,
Okay, it's so you're more like Grateful Dead specific.
I like the Grateful Dead and I like Widespread Panic. Um,
Okay,
but
no
Wide,
Fish for you.
dude, okay, I've told this on the show before, but it's all right. Me and my buddy went to go see a Fish show. We're both big Deadheads. First of all, in the lot outside the show, there's not Fish music playing. There's Dead music playing, and I'm like, okay, well, this is a rip off of that. If you guys want the Dead, but this is the closest we're getting.
Yeah.
And then we go inside. He's on mushrooms, pretty hard. I'd quit doing all that stuff by that point. But I still, go to Dead and Company stuff and love it. Beginning of the second set, after seeing all the fucking glow sticks being thrown around and trampolines on stage and shit, he looks at me and he's like, "I'm good to go whenever." I was like, "Yeah, man." So we fucking took off. But like, yeah, I've tried other bands, other jam bands. It doesn't do it for me, and I think the Dead and Widespread do, because I'm a big fan of American music, whether it's played by British bands or not, like the Stones. I think they're one of the best American bands of all time. Um,
I would
but
agree with you.
they totally are. They're doing it better than most of the American acts. But with those two bands specifically, it's very American. And if you listen to the Dead, you can pick out bluegrass, you can pick out country, you can pick out psychedelic, rock and roll, jazz, like all these different forms, blues riffs and shit.
Hmm.
It's every form of American music kind of thrown together at various points in time. Uh, and also, some of the songs, like Brown Eyed Women, are about the end of Prohibition and its effect on a family. That's a weird rock and roll song.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's a weird topic. Well, admittedly, I it's something I have not given much attention to. So maybe that's another new music conquest I need to go down the rabbit hole and check out cuz
Go on Spotify or Apple and pick any show from Europe 72.
okay. That's a good place to start.
I think that's the best place. It's
All right.
it's a
All
peak.
right.
They're accessible. It's not like feedback for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think if you go into that thinking about it as like, hey, this is kind of a country band, you'll pull some interesting stuff out as a musician playing a genre they play and who enjoys improvisation. Because you can hear them picking up on each other's shit and making
Yeah.
stuff up and referencing
That is
different
cool.
things.
That's cool when I mean I I love 50s and 60s jazz. So, I love improvisation and hearing musicians feed off of each other and that whole thing too. I mean,
I mean, one of the drummers is a straight up jazz drummer. Like, you know? And Phil Lesh, the bass player, is a like classical composer who didn't play bass, but he's a genius. And they were like, "You probably got it." Uh,
damn, now you're making me feel like I really missed out on something. So,
hey, it's still kind of available.
all right.
There's 5,000 shows of back catalog that you can go into,
Yeah, geez. I
and
don't know
about
if I have that.
2,500 of them are good. So what do you have? The record's coming out in July.
Yeah.
Are you supporting it with dates?
I will be. I don't have anything as of yet. I'm still working on that. I don't know if I'll be out. At this point, it's looking like I might not be out right on top of the record, but shortly thereafter.
Okay, so
I wish I had dates to promote at this point, but as soon as I have some, I'll have them announced on all my socials and everything.
it's all right. We'll put, as we always do, the ways to keep track of what you're doing in the body of
Yeah.
the podcast. You know, which is
Right now, I am going to be playing Finally Friday at Third and Lindsley, which is a live broadcast to WMOT
okay.
radio here, and that's on release day.
Okay.
And those are free. So if you live in Nashville, you can come out to Third and Lindsley and see it for free
Okay.
on July 10. I think those start at noon. They're afternoon shows.
It's something to do.
Yeah.
And so you got that record coming out. You're going to be supporting it. Anything else that you want people to keep track of or know about what you got coming up?
Um, yeah, my next single comes out June 16. It's the song Don't Say My Name. That'll be a single and a music video, so you can look out for that. And right now the entire record it's up and ready for pre-save, and I'm taking pre-orders on the vinyl too. So
Oh,
if you like the first two songs that are available to hear now,
I have the Dropbox of it, so I've heard the whole thing. Uh, but
yeah.
people should look out for it when it comes out. It's good. It's a good country record. Um, and I mean, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been great talking with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.